get instant equity when we bought the house, right? So able to come in, rehab the house, make it pretty. It's already on a good street. Now the value went up because the area is already high valued. And that right there gave us instant equity. We were then able to use that equity, tap that equity to then go purchase other properties. And we just kept repeating that formula over the years. And we built up a nice little portfolio.
Welcome back, everybody, back to another exciting show, the About That Wallet podcast. Today, I have the wonderful opportunity to interview Onaje Barnes. He's been doing real estate for well over, let's say,
14 years.
14 years. Man,
it's great. Yeah.
And I had to say that I came across you in Clubhouse, and I had to say thank you for all the knowledge that you were sharing that day inside the room. And that's one of the reasons why I really want you to be on the show, because for this season 2, I'm actually focusing on growing income and actually telling people different ways to actually maximize their income. And one of the things that you talked about was during that Clubhouse mention, we were talking about Section 8 and actually how to help the community and build a community. But before we dive into that aspect, can you just kind of give a quick rundown of who you are and what you're doing right now?
Yeah, I am a long-term buy and hold real estate investor. And I focus on, we have a portfolio of single family and multifamily. So I've got several single families, and then we have a large semi-large apartment complex of 21 units. And then we're under contract with a couple more multifamilies in that 7 or 8 range. When I say long-term buy and hold, basically means I buy and I landlord for the most part. And we've grown. I'm a child of, the system, the poverty. My mom is, she was a wonderful mom, and she had 4 kids, and she was raising us by ourselves. And I let people know, like, hey, this is my background. Like, when I went to college, all 4 of us went to college, which was phenomenal. I filled out my own FAFSA form, right, when I was 18. And so I know exactly how much my mom made when I was 18. And it's always stuck with me. She made $12,500 for the year.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. So like that's 4 kids, remember? So right. Now by the time I came up, I felt like as a child, she was probably making the most that she had made at that time. Right. Like, so she was getting that was a better situation. Right. But I was a third child, so my 2 older siblings were already in college or whatever. But yeah, that was our backdrop, right? And I went on to the University of Texas at Austin, which is a great school, majoring in economics, but didn't really understand, even majoring in economics, it didn't really teach me a basics financial literacy, right? So I came out of college with bad credit like everybody else. But I had a good job. The woman I eventually married was my college sweetheart. Stable job. She's an educator, teacher. And, when I was 25, 3 years into this budding career as a buyer, and I mean buyer, I mean like Project One Ray type of buyer situation, we had a merger, and that merger ultimately laid off 25,000 people. I survived that layoff because I was young, but all the people that was mentoring me in that company that was 45, 50 years old, they all got laid off. And so for me, I'm looking up and I'm like, hold on, the smarter people getting laid off or whatever. So, that really shocked me. And that's kind of led to my financial journey of understanding, financial literacy in a more meaningful way than what I was even taught in college, and just from my living situation, right? Like, with financial literacy, so much is about who's around you, right? Like who's in your sphere of influence and things like that. And I just didn't have it, right? Because, you grow up in the hood. I mean, everybody, So with that just led me to real estate through all the books I was reading, and, the few examples that I could find. I found that real estate, through all the statistics that you can look up online and all that good stuff. I won't go through all that, but I found that real estate was the least or the easiest path to get to where I wanted to get to for financial freedom. I'm not looking to be a billionaire or any of that kind of stuff. I'm just looking to get to a point in life to where our floor has been raised. Nice. We're not looking for the ceiling. We're looking for a raise of the floor, meaning if we fell down, if we got laid off, how far are we going to be screwed? Right. And so for us, that's what financial freedom is. And that's what we're looking for, generational wealth for our kids. So fast forward to keep it short and tight. We started buying properties. We started with our own personal home that we still live in today. Everybody's all about trading up and balling or whatever. Like, no, we still live in our original home. Our original home has allowed us to, because we bought it right. We bought an ugly home in a great neighborhood, which is kind of real estate 101, right? Like get a good neighborhood and buy the worst house on the block. We did that. And we were able to leverage some good government programs or some good assistance programs, like a 203K loan, which gives the homeowner monies to actually rehab the property. It's a great instrument.
And that's only, just to interject, the 203K loan, is that only for first-time homeowners? Okay.
You have to have a first-time homeowner designation, but a first-time homeowner designation doesn't mean the first-time purchase. So there has to be about 2 years apart, and you can't own any other real estate. So you could go trade your current home and get another 203K loan. I'm not a mortgage broker, right? So I don't want to go get you whatever. But yes, there's some. It doesn't have to be the first home. Period. You just can't own any other stuff. So I can't go use this again because our portfolio is too large. But to get started, man, this was major because it allowed us to get instant equity when we bought the house, right? So able to come in, rehab the house, make it pretty. It's already on a good street. Now the value went up because the area is already high value. And that right there gave us instant equity. We were then able to use that equity, tap that equity to then go purchase other properties. And we just kept repeating that formula over the years. And we built up a nice little portfolio.
All right. Now, when you say use the equity, do you mean like to HELOC out against your home?
Absolutely.
All right.
But we do it with intention. We do it with very, very intentional. I want to get that disclaimer. Right. That doesn't equal go buy you a Tesla or go on the. Right. we not going to the club. We not,
You already know.
Yeah, I already. Yeah. But I do believe in this instrument because these type of products and understanding how to use them is how you grow, scale, and gain wealth, right? This is what the other cultures are doing that we're not doing. Now, the thing about it is we might gain financial literacy, and our version of financial literacy is pay everything off, conservative, which I started that way. I actually started very conservative. We bought a lot of homes cash. We bought homes and we were paying them off quickly. We bought them on the cheap and just focused on paying them down. That is absolutely a solid way. But for us to be able to scale up, right? People say, how do you get 30 units? How did you buy 21? How did you buy a multi-million-dollar apartment complex? Like, how did you do that? Well, you do it with scale and proper and frankly, sacrificing mental fortitude. Right. Because I got my friends running around in their Teslas or whatever. I ain't got no Tesla.
So man, because I've been listening. For people that are watching us on YouTube, you see me looking down a lot. I'm actually taking notes because I always take notes when it comes to a lot of information, because I really want to make sure that I capture this for my own personal use, because I love using other people's knowledge to kind of start taking action. I know. This stuff is I know what you're talking about. It takes time. It's not something that you can just kind of wake up and get this done within like the next two months, But
there's action that can be taken.
Right.
There's absolute action that can be taken.
So one of the things that I heard I'm getting mixed feelings about the HELOC process, because some people say like,
I'm passionate. Yeah, talk about it. Ask me.
Because some people that I've listened to actually say taking a HELOC out against your personal property is like hustling backwards. Like, why would you do that? Take that risk on your own personal property?
Okay, so let's be clear about the products that we're talking about, right?
Okay.
There's a HELOC, home equity line of credit, and then there's a home equity loan. Okay, these are two different products. So let's make sure that we're talking about these two products in separate categories, because they are two separate products and they are in two separate categories, and I believe you should use them differently. Okay. So I want to be real clear about that. Okay. However, the bank does approach the amount of money you can get exactly the same. Okay. All right. So number one, a HELOC is a home equity line of credit. Let's talk about the home equity loan first. Okay. Because that's one product. A home equity loan, the argument about working backwards definitely could be something that I think is an argument, right? So when you take a home equity loan, you're actually incurring closing costs. Okay. Likely you are doing what they call a cash out refinance. Okay. That might have higher costs involved, that might actually reset the button, so to speak, right? Going backwards. Like you could be 7 years into your mortgage and then you have to reset to a 30, right? So there's some drawbacks there, right? And the psychological problem with a home equity loan is maybe you just got 75K in your, and you take the loan and now you got 75K in your savings account. And maybe that 75K, if it was like me back in the day, you never seen before.
Right.
That can cause some psychological, I wouldn't call it that could cause some problems in your wealth journey, right? You might be thinking you're rich when you're not rich, right? You might go to the club and go ball out and pop some bottles or whatever, right? Like you might go
for the weekend,
things.
You know.
Yeah, because now you got it, right?
Right.
Because now you got it. So if you know that you're that person, then don't get that, right? Like that's not. It takes, again, what I said earlier, sacrifice, mental fortitude, right? Like that's actually a thing, right? So that product, I believe, is best used for people who are very, very intentional about investing. I mean, very intentional, meaning I know exactly what I want to do with this money and I'm going to do it tomorrow, because here's the other problem with a home equity loan. Your payment's due next month.
Oh,
right. Because it's a loan, because you've actually closed. Like, and so that new payment on that 75K, because you think you're rich now, that money's due next month. So if you don't have a way to deploy that capital, right? Because I'm an investor, so I use words like deploy capital, right? So if you don't have a way to deploy that capital, then, or a option or an investment strategy or whatever, then you know what, you don't need to get it. Okay. So now that's that bucket. Now let's talk about the bucket that I like. Okay. All right. So the home equity line of credit is a line of credit like a credit card. Okay. But you say credit card equals bad. Have you ever had a $75,000 credit card with a credit card limit at a 3% interest rate?
Oh, not at 3%.
No. Or 4%.
Right.
Right. But a home equity line of credit, you're going to get a competitive interest rate to the market of real estate. So you're like in today, and again, we want the podcast to be evergreen or whatever, but just thinking that reasonable, whatever interest rates are right now in the market, you're going to get something in that comparable area, right? And this line of credit typically could be something that you could use for 7 to 10 years.
Okay.
And if you max it out, they'll term it out on the 30-year payment terms. Okay. So think about being able to have a cheap credit card. I call 3 or 4% pretty cheap compared to 12, 15%, right?
Or 29%, right?
Or 25. Right.
Right.
So if you can understand that, right, and think like larger numbers versus the 10, 15 grand type of situation, right? This could be advantageous, right? So let me tell you about some other benefits. This is my passion, by the way, about HELOCs, and particularly people of color getting HELOCs and using them properly. So one, you actually don't incur any real closing costs, right? Depending upon your lender, most lenders don't really have significant closing costs with HELOCs because you're actually not closing on a loan, because it's not a loan. It's more of a line of credit.
I got you. Okay.
That's big, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because you save on fees. Second, you don't have a payment next month. You only have a payment of what you use when you use it. So you don't have a payment next month.
I'll see where you go at. I'll see where you go at. Okay. Okay. Keep going.
Ah.
Keep going.
So if you want to be so one, your discipline level, you don't see the money in your account either. You actually get depending upon the bank that you go to, you might get an actual credit card. You might actually get a checkbook, which is kind of crazy, right? Like you get a checkbook, but you actually have to do an actionable action to go move the money, transfer the money over to your bank account, right? Versus it just hitting there and then you're logging in the Chase Bank every day, seeing 75 grand in your account, right? Like this is kind of more of a little bit hide it from yourself. Maybe we need to hide some money from ourselves a little bit sometimes to kind of mentally kind of get there, right? And so that's another benefit to me. So you don't pay anything. It's just sitting there like a good credit card when you need it, right? And the reason why you do get it, now here's the deal. You really can't get a HELOC on investment property. It's really a product that's made for your personal home, okay? So it's a unicorn product. I've gotten only one line of credit against investment properties before. And trust me, I try to get them all the time. They're very difficult and hard to find because it's quote unquote more risky for the bank or whatever. So they want it on your home. So I actually recommend people getting a HELOC on your home, even if you're not an investor. Ask me why. So let's say you have no intentionality of being an investor ever in life. Okay. Why should you get a HELOC?
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking about it. Things. Go ahead.
Well, yeah. Well, okay. Give me a couple of reasons why that could be advantageous.
Well, one of the things that I'm thinking that it'll be really good. One, like how we just had a downturn in the market in 2020, right?
Absolutely.
So, and we all know that the stock market likes to go back up. And so I was like, man,
they can do this.
Even if you just did like 10K inside AMC, you know, AMC was at like $4. Now it's like $50.
Yeah,
right.
But I don't.
But I know. But it goes back to that your risk tolerance, because for me, I have a high risk tolerance. So for me, I was like, and that's what I did with my credit cards. Actually, I just did a cash out on my credit cards and just dumped it over to the stock market.
But they hit you with some cash advance fees now, didn't they?
It wasn't I did a balance transfer.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so it was at 0% for 18 months.
Okay,
that's cool. What I did that way. That worked out okay. I'll say I pretty much broke even, but I'm just thinking of like different ways that you can actually try to flip the money if you're comfortable with that.
Or just raw safety. Raw safety.
I see what you're saying. Yep.
Like just raw safety. How many people got laid off in 2020?
True.
And you were getting decent income in life. You have a house. You got equity in your house. A lot of people were in strong, decent positions, right? But still, statistically in America, most people don't have 6 to 8 months of savings, right?
That's true.
This is savings.
Instant.
This is just stuff pops up in life fund. This is Grandma Susie. You know, we got to bury a big mama, or somebody got sick, or I lost my job and I need 3 or 4 months to float. Are we going to lose our life? Like, why are we living on edge in life? Right. Remember, I talked about the floor. Right. So this is me talking about the floor right now. Right. So you got people might have a decent job who's listening to this. Right. Well, I don't need all that. I'm not going to invest. I'm getting paid 6 figures or whatever. And we're dual income, no kids and all that stuff. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody loses something. Now we pulling our hair out like, oh crap. Can I pay my car note? Can I pay my house note? Can I, whatever? Can we can't go out to eat no more. Whatever you doing, just safety.
Yeah.
Just to say, I got some cash to be able to tap into if I need it.
And since you said it's good for 7 to 10 years, then that's right there. Yeah.
Hold on. And so can I give you my dope part about why I love it?
Yeah. Really, why you really love this?
Okay, so line of credit means revolving line of credit.
There you go. There you go.
You with me now, right?
Yeah.
What that means is, so you just said you could have pulled some of this out to flip that money, right?
Yep.
So you flip the money, you pay the money back, and then it revolves, and you can keep doing it again.
Do it again, right? Wow.
So as a real estate investor, this is super advantageous because I could get 75K, go find a property that for 50,000 that I might have to put 20,000 into, but then it'll be worth 100, right? And so, I go do that, and I buy the property, I sell the property, make me 30 grand or whatever, 25 grand, pay the loan back off, and do it again. And now I'm but understand who I didn't call. I didn't call a bank.
On the bank, yeah.
I didn't call a hard money lender.
Oh.
Okay. I didn't try to convince the seller to go do seller financing. I didn't do any of that stuff. I was able to come in cash the next day and buy, which is kind of what I already do. And so I'm actually what they call a unicorn. Well, I wouldn't call myself a unicorn investor, but as an investor, I get to brag to other investors that I'm actually self-financed.
Nice.
Right. Like I get to say, do I still call banks? Absolutely. Right. Do I still try to do a seller financing deal? Absolutely. Right. But I actually can come in cash in a lot of places or show cash, right? And be able to buy something cash. Oh, you need to close in 7 days? I got the cash. Well, that puts me ahead in this competitive environment that we're in. I'm a little bit stronger than the next guy. Right. So, because people, well, this guy got cash and he really purchased whatever. And I don't have to beg people for money to go do the rehab or whatever. I'm just utilizing the tools that are available to me. And this for me is an excellent instrument with proper due diligence, mental fortitude, right? Like, just let's not go be silly with it. You know what I mean? I'm very, very intentional about the style of investing that I'm in, right? So I'm a real estate investor. I'm using lines of credit to go buy property. Very intentional, right? Under my set criteria.
See, and I like that you already know your title in the business. It's like, look, I'm just an investor. I'm a real estate investor. Because so many people get tied up in these titles, and it's like, I own this business, and I'm the CEO. And I'm like, no, you're not. You're an employee of your business. Until you get some employees under you, you're an employee. For me, I'm a podcaster. That's my job.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. I mean, I don't like I said, I don't get caught up in all of that type of stuff. What do we got? What's funny is my work I'm on Saturday and I still got to work. My job for the day is I got to form 2 more L.O.Cs for companies that we've got to, do in the next 30 days. So we, most of our big purchases, we put under separate L.O.Cs. So we've got a closing in like 2 or 3 weeks. So I've got to form a new L.O.C. for that company. And then we're moving into the short-term rental business. So I want a separate company for that. So yeah, we got companies on companies.
Yeah, I got a lot to dive into, but I want to take it back just a little bit further. So originally, who exposed you to real estate?
It was one of my frat brothers from college. He was older than me, serial entrepreneur, great guy. I mean, he's that guy that's got, I got this business, I got that business, he's got 3 or 4 businesses, and he's really the first person that I just knew. So I had a friend when I was young that I grew up with. His mom was a real estate investor, right? So I was the poor kid with the rich kid's friend, right? And so I was able to watch her, but it didn't click for me. Like it wasn't clicking. It didn't really click. My exposure to her didn't click till I was damn near 30, right? Wow, but my friend from college, he frat brother, he turned me on to the whole Rich Dad Poor Dad cash flow quadrant type of book, which it's the second book of the series. I think it's phenomenal for people to read. That really jump started me mentally, because this is a mental game, right? It's a mindset shift and all that, right? So he jump started me to that, and he was a broker really, really early. He was about 3 or 4 years older than me, but I mean, he was out of college as a real estate broker selling houses. He had bought a fourplex at like 24 years old or whatever. So he kind of put me on game with that. And I just, again, with the So he was educating me right at the same time as this layoff happened, right? And so that was all like sparks flying in my brain, so and so that really jump started me. But I've had a lot of separate mentors along the way, and not necessarily people that kind of coach me, but just people that I could start to, as I expanded my mind, I could start to say, oh, wow, like, okay, you're buying houses at auctions like crazy. Okay, you own this, you own that. So I was able to start to develop people that maybe I could help out, and they could just drop some knowledge or whatever on me or whatever over the time. Because I just didn't have that in my initial life.
Yeah, the reason why I asked that is because a lot of people undervalue the environment that they're in, that could actually expose you to so many different things. And I just wanted to kind of pinpoint, it's like there's always somebody in your life, either might have been doing it on the side, you didn't really take interest, but there might be somebody that you actually will listen to, or like close to your level, that you'll say, oh, well, if they can do it, I can do it too.
Exactly. And that's really where I'm at now in my world, is that now, I mean, I've got a lot of friends that are not in real estate, but I'm really just pulling more and more people to me that are in this space and are doing things a little bit differently than me. So we can share ideas, we can share thought processes. Literally right before this podcast, like I was on a call from a guy from Iowa. He called me about my thoughts. And I mean, he's a well-established investor. Like he's a successful investor in his own right. And, he wanted to talk to me about, we wanted to talk about short-term rentals, and he wanted to pick my brain because he was like, I think me and you have similar thoughts. Please validate this to me, because I got noise coming in saying something different. And we were having a conversation. We like, we agree. Like, and so sometimes you just need people around you that, might have a little bit different take than you, and to be able to just have the conversation. You can figure some things out.
And it's good that, you're still teachable, even though you've been doing this for so long.
Yeah. I mean, anybody who says they got all the knowledge, I mean, come on now. Right.
So true.
Yeah. So I know my lane. I know what I'm good at, but there's a lot in real estate I don't know, that I'm not, educated on. And where I'm at today at my age, we've got two young kids. We got 12 and 7-year-old, and, I'm all about generational wealth and all that good stuff. So now it's really about stacking different strategies. So I've got a friend who's deep into opportunity zones, and that's a huge component. And I've got a friend that's building property, and I've got friends that are doing short-term rentals. And so where I'm at now is to stack all these strategies together, build my own stuff in an opportunity zone, short-term rental it, and keep it for my family.
There you go.
So there's a lot of, anyway, I can go down the rabbit hole.
Right. Well, because we talked about a little bit about opportunity zones with Sean Ackerman on season 1. So if anybody want to learn about that, you can go back to that episode.
Come back to that. Yeah.
Right. But one of the things that I do want to start talking about is when you start talking about the helping the community when you're doing this stuff, because a lot of times we hear about gentrification, we hear about doing it wrong, and how to approach communities to actually build them up without them feel like they are being gentrified or leaving the people out of the conversation. So how are you actually attacking that? But also, let's go with that one, and then I'll ask the next one.
So this is one of my passions in life, because I am from Houston. I am from the original African-American neighborhood of Houston that had built up that community, and, gentrification is coming our way. So I'm going to say something really, really harsh and really, really true. The people who are complaining about gentrification, we are the causes. Okay. Mm-hmm. We're the ones that selling grandma house. No one's making us sell grandma house. Okay. No one is making us move into these other neighborhoods because, my neighborhood isn't good, and I want to go move out to these suburbs or whatever and leave our original community. So for me, it's really important that as we make it, like, so I told my story and I quote unquote made it, right? Mm-hmm. Where am I moving to? Right? Am I going back to my community and helping my community build, or am I going out, quote unquote, colonizing another community? Right? And fighting to be accepted in these other communities. So one, let's start with that, right? And so that's the challenge that I have for us as a community, as people of color and things like that. Gentrification starts, who's selling our homes? Us, right? So let's start with that. Okay. So we want to be intentional about stopping gentrification. How about we take care of our own properties, our own neighborhoods? Let's identify who are the people, who are the bad apples in our neighborhood that are bringing our neighborhoods down, and get them up out of there. Get them up out of there. If you are a cancer to the community, if you selling dope to the kids or whatever, you got to go, bro. You got to go. So I'm very passionate. Like, let's start with that. Now, that's separate than the community development piece to it, right? So as an investor, I start with that. So I'm going to look at myself first. Where am I investing? So all of my properties are in communities that look like me. So that's number one. So I take ugly homes in solid streets and I build it up. I've taken ugly homes on bad streets and build it up, because when I build it up, other people start to copy and follow. I'm also very intentional about who am I renting to, right? Who am I leasing? There are fair and housing laws. I don't violate any fair and housing laws or whatever. But you know what? If somebody just needs a help in life, I'm trying to build a good property. I don't need to have the highest rents. I just need to be able to cash flow in the proper manner to where this makes sense. I'm very intentional on who I rent to. We do a lot of government assistance. We do a lot of programs with HUD-VASH, which is the Veterans Program. For example, I'll give a story about one of my tenants. I think I was maybe about 29, 30 when I bought the property. She was probably in her late 40s. She had never lived in a home in her entire life. Wow. And she had 2 kids, 3 kids. They never had a yard. Like, they just never had a yard. And she worked 9 to 5. She also was on government assistance, Section 8. So that's a misnomer that people have. I've never known her not to work, but her money also doesn't add up in life, because guess what, y'all? Minimum wage is that's not a living wage, right? No. So 25, 30% of Americans are making less than $10 an hour or whatever, right? That's not, that money doesn't work. Like, show me how that math works. It doesn't add up. So we do like to focus on people in this zone that they're working their butts off. They got 2 or 3 jobs. Maybe their money doesn't add up. And they might be on government assistance, and government assistance could be my rent's $1,200 and the government's paying $500. Like, that's a lot of my tenant profile.
I didn't know that they could be that they can cover that little bit of difference.
Yeah, that's actually nice. The majority of people on Section 8 is actually that. It's not I'm living high on the government and they paying all my rent. That's actually quite rare. I wouldn't say it's quite rare, but within our portfolio, I would argue of the government assistance, that might be 10, 15, 20% of the population, but the majority of the population on it is in a situation like I described, that maybe the government's paying half, maybe they're paying 70%, but most people are paying something. Right. And I like to focus on these people because they're trying to do everything they else can help themselves. And you know what I don't have a problem with? I don't have a problem with helping anyone who is trying to help themselves.
Right.
Like that I don't have a problem with. So we're really intentional around that, and just understanding. So there's a way. And so I use this example because I consider this community development versus gentrification, right? Gentrification lies pushing people out, moving people around, other people that don't look like us being the people in the areas and all that kind of stuff. And for me, we have to have more people developing our communities to quote unquote stop gentrification. It starts with us, right? Like, because they really don't want to be there around us, right? You know what I mean? So and for me, I've never been afraid of living or being around my own people. That's what I ain't afraid of.
Right. And that's one of the strong things. And you can tell just in the conversation that you're very passionate about that, because that's one of the things, like, you get the education, most people move out the city. and
Yeah.
then leave whoever else out there. I mean, I'm an example of it, but it's mainly because I'm following the work, following the money. And I'd rather be closer to work. So
Hey, and that's not me. I'm not knocking or hating on people that do it, but I also very cognizant of, like, most of us, like, okay, we go to college, we get out the hood and we go move out to these other areas. And I understand that that's what we do. And that's not a problem, but we also can't be the ones complaining about gentrification because we're also a part of it.
Yep. And
because if we're creating a firewall, right? Like if you go back and say, okay, instead of spending $250 out here in the suburbs or whatnot, and I'm gonna spend $250 in my own area or whatever, you're helping create a firewall against someone else to come in.
Yep.
You know, so I'm pretty big about that right now.
Now, you mentioned slightly, I just wanted to make sure we go back to, which is the veteran version of the Section 8.
Yeah. So that's called HUD Bash, HUD being the HUD department, and the Bash is that's just kind of what the program is called. And that's a great way to, one, if you're passionate about helping veterans, that's a great program. The profile or the avatar of the client is frankly different than the traditional Section 8 client. They tend to be older, right? They tend to might be fighting housing stability, right? They tend to might have some issues mentally, but they tend to be by themselves as well. And from an investor's perspective, some of these things are advantageous for me, meaning like, frankly, I'd just be calling a spade. Like if I can rent to one person in a house is going to have less wear and tear than 4 or 5 people in the house.
True.
So that's advantageous for me. Like, because again, I said, I'm a long-term buy and hold real estate investor. Very, very clear about what I do. Right. And so that's advantageous. Just the aspect of, them being a veteran and serving their country. And we can argue that maybe, the country's turned their back on them or whatever. I'm not in the military. I don't have anybody in the military in my family, and wouldn't join the military personally, but I can have sympathies for that. And, a lot of veterans are struggling right now, whether it's maintaining the job or just getting off the street or whatever. So if I can kind of help with that, that's a good play. And then there's other programs where you can kind of get grants and things like that, to where you can even be more intentional if you really, really passionate about it. And so there's other programs that you can get, you can apply for government grants and aids on. So let's say you have a house and you might be, so for me, I'm focused on long-term housing for veterans, right? But you could be focused on short-term housing for veterans. And the way a short-term program will work would be like a transitional living type of situation where you're literally getting them right off the street, right? Like really getting them off. And there's government programs that will help pay you per day, per bed. You gotta.
I like that one. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So you're like, hold on now, this sounds good, right?
Right.
So that's a per day, per bed. And depending upon the square footage in the house or whatever, you can get 2 to 3 beds per room.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. Oh, the math.
Yeah.
Keep going. Right. So let's say it could be a scenario. You got a 3-bedroom, 2-bath.
Mm-hmm.
You might be able to get 6 to 8 veterans or even 10, depending upon the size of the house and all that kind of stuff. Now, I believe in these transitional situations, you're going to have to provide some services. You're going to have to provide, food, maybe bring in some counseling and mental health, or just whatever some levels of service, right? But you can hook up with a good nonprofit to do that if that's not your wheelhouse.
Oh man, I like this. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah. And they may be able to pay, and there's websites on va.gov or whatever, and I think they come out yearly with the grants or whatnot, and they could put you on a 2 to 3 to 5 year grant if you got a good grant writer. So I don't know. Is the money?
Yeah. Because I'm thinking about because
so
for me, I'm always like the.
You want to do a little quick math?
Let's do some math. What you got?
Okay, so $75 a night. per day.
Okay.
Okay. So let's say 75 a night. And let's say you got a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. You don't want to, let's go on the conservative side. I'm a conservative guy. Let's go conservative. Okay. Let's say you don't want the guys living on top of each other, the ladies or whatnot. You want to, provide a good service. So let's just say you got 6. Okay. 6 people, 6 in that house. So 75 times 6.
Mm-hmm.
That's 450.
Yep.
Time 30.
Mm-hmm.
That's 13 grand on basic rental. That might be a $1,500 rental that you would get on a long-term play. You like that?
Yeah, because I'm thinking about this is way beyond Airbnb.
Oh, this is better than Airbnb.
Yeah, because you don't have to worry about the stay.
This is way better than Airbnb.
Yeah.
So that's the low end. You want to talk about maybe a medium end?
Let's go with the
medium end. Okay, medium. 75 is the lowest they'll pay across municipalities. You might have a national podcast, whatever. I talked to some people and, they were paying, like during the pandemic, they were paying up to $115 a night.
What?
Because this was a serious situation, right? Like, hey, and depending upon the administration, I know this current administration really wants to get the veterans off the street. I know they're focused on, trying to honor and help these guys out or whatnot. And ladies, because I've got 3 lady women who are veterans as well. So let's just say you're at $100 medium end. Okay.
Correct.
Now you're at 100, and let's say you get 9 in a house, because you can also, maybe you could get 2 to 3 per bedroom, and the living room, you could get some beds in the living room as well. So
bunk beds, or they can be flat.
I mean,
yeah. All right.
So 100, let's say 100 times 9.
Right.
Okay. Times 30. Now you're at 27,000. What Airbnb? What you talking about, Airbnb?
Yeah. They can't touch these numbers.
They can't touch these numbers.
They can't.
They can't touch these numbers. But so that's the financial angle.
Right.
And then you can actually sleep pretty straight. Like you can say, man, I'm doing something, that it's not as sexy as Airbnb.
Right.
And that 27,000 is not going to be all profit. You absolutely going to have to provide some type of services. You're absolutely going to have to do the stuff that you say you're going to do in the grant writing proposal. It's going to be some food. Like I want people to not just think about the money, but also make sure that, hey, do right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm a fan of look, all you got to do is follow the rules.
Mm-hmm.
The government lay out a lot of rules. A lot of people like to skirt these rules, man. If you follow the rules, it's a lot of money out there to be had, right? Yeah. Hey, do the right thing. Go hire some decent nursing assistants. Go bring in some social workers to really help see if you can. And now here's the dope part. You can have a transitional housing facility, and then you can have some regular rentals too. And you say, what? Like that?
I'll see where you go on that. Okay.
Right.
Hey, to help you get on your feet, we can get you to the regular Section 8, because you can still work your 9 to 5 and get them to that transitioning period. And then once they out of that period, then it was like, all right, cool, I can run on my own now. Boom. And it's all in-house because you're already building a community. You're already picking people up off the streets. And they were like, hey, I remember you got to follow this guy. He'll set you up. And
the crazy part about it is, like, look, okay, in the transitional piece, you ain't gonna be able to save everybody, right? And that's the tough part about it. There's gonna be some people that just can't get over whatever issues they may have. But there's gonna be some also people that just needed you to help them in that moment, and they can move to that next step. And then you could be the guy that helps them in the next step too, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking. I got you. So
there's a whole lot you can go down, right?
Well, I'm thinking about this. If it's possible, I'm not sure if you know this or not. Is it possible to have veterans mixed in with non-veterans? So, say if you're doing almost.
Yeah, I think a lot of things are possible. However, I am. You see, I got a little knowledge on this. I'm liaisoning with someone who's doing this in a large way. Okay. And the very strong recommendation from them is that you want to put people with like experiences with people with like experiences. So this person is also focused on the LGBTQ community and getting, because a lot of these kids are getting kicked out by their parents, you know, when they're 16, they might come out and they might get kicked out of their house or whatever and don't have a place. So this person has a nonprofit arm where he goes and fundraise and then to provide housing for homeless, you know, kids in this situation. So that's a whole nother game, right? But it's in the same model, if that makes sense. It's in the same type of model. He's also working with, you know, there's a women's shelter, right? So if you got any women, you could go the women's shelter angle with it, right? You could go the angle of, you know, transitional living for women who might be in battered situations or, you know, domestic violence situations. There's a lot of different angles. You could go the youth angle, right? Of, you know, the wards of states and things like that. I know people who are doing that. So all of this is kind of the same, you know, situation. If you kind of think about that, right? Just transitional housing in general. So who's all the people that need transitional housing? So for example, you don't want to put those, you know, you don't want to put young people who might be in a mess of, or you don't want to put battered women with veterans or what like that.
Right. That's what you're saying. Yeah.
Because the services, and more likely than not, if you want to have a successful business and nonprofit or whatever it is, if you're going to be successful and make that big money that we just did the math on, right? Like if you want to make that, do you want to make that 1 year? Or do you want to make that for 10 years? I want to make that for 10 years. I don't know about you.
Right.
So if you want to make that for 10 years, then the right way of doing it would be able to provide services, right, for that specific community, right? So you're going to have different type of counseling for women with domestic violence than you would a veteran, right? So, and you would actually probably save money by being vertical in that regard. So,
man, all right.
As you can see,
yeah, because I'm like, man, Chuck, should I? Because I'm thinking about the different government programs that are out there right now that could either help me get my first property, which like how you say, you got the FHA, you get the FHA, you live in there for a year or two, whatever. Yep. Then you do your cash out refinance, and then, or if you can do you can do a cash out refinance, get your next property as another FHA, get your H.E.L.O.C. loan again, have that first property, rent that out as the veteran, just using the VASH program, make yourself an extra $13,000. This is on the low end per month on the low end.
Yeah, crazy, it's ridiculous.
Right? And then
the only caveat would be you would need to get out of that original FHA loan. You would have to refinance. Yes, so just
that's what I was saying. The first one, the first one, cash out refinance to get out of that.
Yep.
And then with that $13K, use the $13K to actually fund your current home. Why you do the nonprofit to do the other stuff? Oh man, I think I lost him. All right, hold on. So using the money from the $13,000 that you get monthly to actually fund your current home as your new 203K loan with your FHA, and then actually have the nonprofits come in, because you don't have to pay them. They come in and do all the extra stuff, help with the food and everything like that, team up with a food bank, and you got your free food. And believe it or not, doesn't the programs actually pay for furniture too, right?
I think so. Yeah. Oh, I've gotten 2 or 3 of my our residents are on the VASH program, and they were able to get their apartment furnished. So yeah.
Okay.
And I'm not even like I'm not all the way into those weeds, because it's just like, hey man, handle your business or whatever. But their case managers are helping them. They, like, the case managers will set up situations to where they can pay for the utilities. I had a veteran in, and he has a full voucher, meaning they're paying the full amount. And he was struggling finding work, and we went over and noticed that his lights, I didn't think his lights was on. And I talked to him and said, hey man, like, because I'm not in the business of, like, I'm not in the business of renting to somebody who can't afford their utilities either, right? Like, that's not part of what we're trying to do, because that's its own problems, right? And so I talked to him, and he's like, yeah, I'm not, times are hard, whatever. I'm trying to get back on my feet. And I was like, hold on, man, here's a number. So we actually, we have a list of numbers in our area that people can kind of go to as well for that type of help. So yeah, they'll help with all kind of stuff.
Man, see, but this goes back to, episode 41 on season 1, where I was talking to Sam from Black Real Estate Dialogue, and he was just
Okay.
talking about how that one house can actually set your generation up forever. And
our one house did.
Yeah, it's it's crazy. All right, my mind blown over here. So, but
see why I love real estate. See why I love real estate.
I see the love. But I do got one extra question before we start talking about the futures. Here is, what gift was given to you that kind of changed your mindset to actually take action?
I would say for me, I mean, the gift of just knowledge and networking and being able to have a few people around me, they just give me those little pushes. I'm not going to lie. I am a person that lives with a chip on my shoulder too. Mm-hmm. So sometimes my gifts are pain. That might be sound a little mentally a little off or whatever. But I do use, I'm a big person about using, obstacles, pain as rocket fuel. That's what I call it. I'm like, oh, that's my rocket fuel right there. Oh, you tell me I can't do something? Rocket fuel. Like, appreciate it. Oh, okay. I remember growing up in poverty and walking to school in the rain and stuff like that because I couldn't even afford the umbrella. Like, rocket fuel. So so that's my rocket fuel a little bit. It's a little bit different than the next guy or whatnot. I'm that guy with that chip on my shoulder. But again, networking, man, networking. Yeah. What you're doing right now. I mean, how many gems are you getting every time?
So many, man. So many.
So that's, man, access and putting yourself around people. I think that's the having an abundance mindset. That's the buzzword right now, right? And I truly believe that a lot of times we're all fighting for the same stuff. How many friends do you know are photographers? Everybody want to be a photographer, right? Like I get it.
I can think of two right now. Right.
It's like everybody's talking about Saho. What do you do? Okay, let me go be a photographer. Come on, guys. Like
you said, it's a mindset of you're around the right people that are going to places where you want to go. You always find them.
Yeah, for me, I've got to have 3 levels of people around me at all times.
I like that.
Someone who I can look to, but not crazy far either. That's a problem people have, right? So right. I'm in real estate, right? And Grant Cardone is like Grant Cardone, right?
Yeah, 10K everything.
10K everything. I don't really need to be in Grant Cardone's space like that.
Right.
He's too far away from where I'm at. Mm-hmm. Like, do I want to listen to him? Do I want to be able to be in a space to where I can hear some of his gems? Absolutely. But does he need to be in do I need to focus on having him in my phone? A lot of people say yes. I don't say that. Mm-hmm. I want to be with the guy that maybe have 2 to 3 times my net worth. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because that's way more achievable. Because I can feel and touch them. And Grant Cardone can't really give me good advice on how to. He's so far away, from where I'm at, right? What he's got to tell me, I need some more steps to get to. Does that mean,
Yeah, you need 10 next steps, right?
Yeah, I need 10 I got to get to step 5 first before I get to 10 right? So that's 1. And then 2, so I want people that are a little bit, a few steps ahead of me, right? Like, so, because they remember where I was at. Right. So they're what they have to recommend to me is a lot closer and real. Right. So that's one person. The second person is somebody that's right there with me. Right. Okay. I've got some real estate. They got some real estate. Right. Okay. So we can help each other along the way. Maybe they've got a slightly different path. I've got some friends that, they don't have 30 units, but they're builders. So now, I've got a builder in my circle that, I could see a deal that I don't know how to do, but my friend knows how to do.
Yeah.
So that's my second person, right? And I want to have a lot of those people, right? Because these are my we're going to war together.
Right.
These are my troops, right? So you got your general above you that your lieutenant or whoever that's giving you some strategic direction, right? Mm-hmm. You got your guys that's in your platoon with you, right? Like, these are my boys. We riding together, right?
Yep.
And then I'm actually cool. I like to have a lot of people that's trying to get to where I'm at. So I want to be a mentor for a lot of people, right?
Okay.
And so this last one, people don't really focus on that, right? They just worried about the people that are above them, right? And they're not worried about the people below them. Well, there's a poem called If, right? By Rudyard Kipling, I think. And there's a line in it that says, hey, if you can walk with kings nor lose the common touch, right? So I like to be around regular people, because those regular people that are trying to get to where I'm at, if I can be a resource for them, they might run through a wall for me.
Yeah.
They might, if I can help them with some gems, or if I can help them, just them being around me can help them get to where they want to be, they might run right through a brick wall for me in life. I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like they might break their freaking neck to, and that's, and that's me having my own level of ground troops. And so again, one, because maybe I can bring them up to my level. Yep. And I got another guy I can ride with, right?
Oh, bring them up to your majority. Because I actually label from the general, the majority, and then the few.
Yeah. So I could bring them up with me. Now I got another guy that I can ride with, right? That may be able to deal with. Or two, I'm a real estate investor. I'm a buy and hold real estate investor. So what do I need? I need leads. Mm-hmm. I need people to bring deals. Yep. Well, I'm tired. I got 2 kids. I'm getting older. Okay, ground troopers, y'all got some deals? Yeah, we got some deals. We just don't know how to do it. Or I don't have the capital. Can you give me $50K on this deal? Is it a good deal by the definition that we've made? Yeah. Oh, that is a good deal.
I like it.
Yeah, let's go do that. Yeah,
right.
So that's funny, because that actually happened to me last night, and the guy's texting me now because I think we might buy a deal together. We might buy a 7-unit complex together.
Man, congrats.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's a might, whatever, but it looks like a good deal. He brought it to me yesterday. I went to go see it yesterday, and I was like, I think you did your work. Like he was home. I mean, he's been looking for like 2 years. Like he's been trying to get in for like 2 years. He's hitting all these roadblocks. I'm in a position to be able to do some things that, he's not necessarily able to do. And then, that could propel him in his career. It gets me another deal.
Right. It's a win-win. Man, because I love what you said there, and make sure you had those 3 people, because since I started this podcast, I'm starting to find, like, I'm actually relating it to myself now, because one of the guys, he does reselling, and he was just afraid to put himself out there. I'm like, dude, nobody cares what you look like. Just post something. That's all you got to do. Post something. And now he's posting, and everything is growing for him. So I'm trying to get him on the show eventually. But yeah, I do like the way how you structured your 3 levels of people around you. Man, hopefully one day, I might be one of those people.
Hey, man, that's why I'm on the podcast, man. I'm always networking, man. I'm always networking. The bigger my circle can be, I think the stronger I am. If I do take a step back, because again, especially with very, very strategic, right? The people that are below you got to be very intentional. I'm at a place where I can't have people blowing me up about, like, okay, if you hungry, you trying to work, okay, cool, ground trooper, cool. I can't have a ton of that. And frankly, I'm not trying to look at a ton of people above me either. I want to have some good people that's going to bring me value. I can bring them value, right? That I can look to, I can call, because people who are above you, they don't want a bunch of people below them calling them either. So like, okay, who can I strategically have, right? And then I want a whole lot of people riding with me, right? Like, give me a whole lot of people that's in the game with me, going to war with me, right? Like, we're helping each other along the way. Okay, I've got friends that are setting up short-term rentals right now. Okay, man, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Just being able to just say, man, this went wrong for me right now. Got a friend of mine. She just did a major rehab, going to rent it out. And, we're coming off the pandemic. And so all of her applications, they're all lined. Everybody's lined on the application, right? And so she's pulling her hair out. She's like, man, I went through 20 applications and they're all lined. They all don't have the job, or had an eviction, or had this, or had that, or whatever. And so she's trying to do the right thing. But, I'm able to be a sounding board for her, right? And so we can strategize and work through a plan that just makes her stronger.
Now, do you have one, if you don't mind adding to your levels, I like to modify things. So,
hey, absolutely. Educate me.
The only one piece that I would say just to add would be somebody that specializes in a niche that you're weak at.
Well, absolutely, yeah. That's in that medium range, right?
Oh,
So
that's the
that's
medium range. Oh, okay.
yeah,
I just
yeah,
wanted to
yeah.
make sure. All
So
right.
yeah, that's the so in the medium range, no two investors are really ever going to be the same.
Right.
And so for me, I've been able to have mentees that I've been able to accelerate above my level, right? So I'm not a multifamily syndicator. One of my original mentees, we helped, get him some properties. I mean, he was calling me every day, like mentee type of situation, right? But he went a different route. He went the syndication route.
Okay.
And now he owns, well, I would say he has controlling interest in over 500 units.
Wow.
I don't have
Wow.
500 units.
Wow. Yeah.
So for me, if I come, and I haven't done any partnerships with people, like ever, like it's always been our family. So if I want to, so now I'm like doing coaching and I'm doing all this stuff and people are putting me all kind of crazy deals. Now I have someone to go to if I decide I find a deal in his space. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So that's the different niche piece that you're talking about. So yes, I absolutely agree with you. And I've got people that are doing all short-term rentals, right? Who are all doing the Airbnb thing or whatever. Well, I don't really do that in a meaningful way, right? But now I've got to, well, who do I hire for this? And how should I negotiate with the cleaners? And, how many sets of sheets do I need? And, oh, you got to have the Ring doorbell. You're all these things that are not in my current business model. They are like experts in, right? And then for me, I would consider myself an expert at property management. Like that's one of our niches, right? Like, so they might have a long-term rental situation or they may not know how to screen their tenants properly. I'm the guy for that. Like I'm there, whatever for that. So yes, I agree. But then I absolutely agree with you. Like have those different niches because that's all going to make you stronger.
Yeah.
I pride myself.
And they can all be different funnels.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I pride myself on my contacts in my cell phone. Like, meaning you might ask me a question right now. I pride myself on being able to make 1 or 2 text messages and finding that answer.
Wow. Yeah. And
if I don't know it myself, like that's my goal in life.
And that's the importance of like having like great contacts, great rapport with people, and actually utilizing the resources that you have to kind of get you to that next level. Man, you're doing it's so many things that I'm learning right now. It's just from the mental, like how you tie everything together. And it's really awesome that you're doing it that way. So one of the things that I thought was, so as we get to the features of the show, what are the penalties for staying where you are today?
The penalties of stagnation, you mean?
I'm saying so if you don't plan on growing any further than where you are today, what are your penalties?
So my wife is retiring. My penalties would probably be that it would take me longer to retire. So she's retiring this year. We do have to make some growth for me to retire. And then the next growth would be how much goes to the kids versus us. So there might be some growth there. So, I mean, you could call that a penalty. Like, so for us, we have a very intentional financial generational wealth plan, right? Okay. Both of us, like, so ideally we both want to be on the beach somewhere kicking it. You know what I mean? Like, and then we also want to be able to secure our children's future as well. And so if we did nothing, our children's going to be secure, right? Like they're pretty much good. Now, are they secure? Like daddy ain't got to go to college? No, they're not there. Right. Like, right. And we also want to, we don't want to work till we're 65. Right. Yeah. And so there's some stuff there around it. But if we did nothing today, our floor in life has been raised to where, we're not, a lot of stuff has to go bad. That's kind of what I'm saying. Now these things could go bad. Right. Right. And so the penalty of stagnation would be, I want to mitigate those risks. I want to even reduce the amount of stuff that could go bad So so it's all about safety and reduction of risk, right? I want to continue to mitigate our risk more and more, right? Like what are all the, like, I want my quote unquote worst case scenario of things that could happen to us to like get even more outlandish, right? So that would be the penalty of stagnation. Now, if you want to get high level geeky, inflation's eating us all alive.
True.
So if you want to look at it from that level, you can't be stagnant because of inflation alone, right? The government pumped a bunch of money into the market to save the economy, save the world. That has consequences, and the consequences is inflation. And inflation is the number one tool that separates the wealthy from the poor. I actually believe that inflation. I could talk for 2 hours about inflation, right? and the dangers of inflation. But that is the thing. You talk about the wealth gap. We talk about wage stagnation. We talk about generational wealth gap between classes of people, right? It's inflation, right? I have things. So here's a question. Is inflation bad or good?
It depends on what side of the coin are you on.
Absolutely. Right. Absolutely. So for me, inflation is my friend because I own assets that grow in value. Right. But for the average person who is stagnant, who don't own real estate, who's renting, who's just, working their 9 to 5, inflation is their enemy.
Right.
So
you got to stay moving. You got to stay moving. Yeah.
If you just want to fight inflation.
Man. All right. So where do you see like your kids, even yourself in the business in 5 years?
5 years. We are transitioning. We want to be free. I'm very intentional and I try to keep high goals, but I don't want to, I love options.
There you go.
So options is like my big word, right? So are my children guaranteed to be real estate investors? I don't know. They go.
Right.
I don't know, and I don't want to necessarily force that upon them, but I want them to have the option.
Okay.
I want them to be able to say, "We're educators in our family. We believe in education, higher ed." But if my kids rolled up and said, "Dad, man, I ain't trying to go to college. I want to go do X, Y, and Z and start this business," I might be like, I might do an assessment and say where their education level is. And I might say, "Hey, man, that's your house over there because I gave it to you. That's your one house.
Right.
You don't get the whole portfolio until I die."
Right.
But that's your one house. You can go to college with it. You can go do whatever with it. You go start your own business. You go run it. You go do whatever you want with it. Go. And that's an option. And so we just want to have options to do the things that we want to do in any given moment. That for me is what freedom is about. And I'm chasing financial freedom. So if we want to move to Jamaica or whatever and go to Jamaica for 6 months. So these are the type of dreams that we have my wife is out of the country right now. And she's doing her little hot girl summer type of thing. And so, which is cool. And she's kidding me. She's like, "Man, it's so beautiful down here, blah, blah, blah. And we should own some property down here." And do we know how to do that? No.
You can figure out.
But we might be able to figure it out. Right. So, and so we want to be able to have that option to actually go do that. And so that's what life is about for me, is being able to choose the path that you want to be on. And I am a type of person that'll wake up tomorrow and say, "Oh, I want to do this tomorrow." Nice. I want to be able to do that. I'm not quite there, but I want to be able to do that.
Well, I really...
That's high level. Yeah, that's high level.
No, but I'll be rooting for you, man, because it's really good to see that you already know where you want to be. You're comfortable, and just to kind of wake up. And I think a lot of people are striving for that, but everybody had to find their own way. And I like that you're already kind of carving it out day by day, making yourself 1% better every day, and just kind of figuring things out as you go.
Man, I love that 1% better every day. I love that because you don't have to make these leaps, right? Yeah. People want to like run super fast, and I'm old school, and the tortoise won the race, right? Like I live by that. I really, for me, mentally would not have gotten to where I was if I didn't. Because my starting line was behind so many people.
Right.
So my starting line was so so I can't really focus on that. You still there?
Yeah, man.
I can't focus on other people and looking at the other directions. If you just go in a straight line, find a direction, know your starting point though. Make sure they know their starting point, right? But know your starting point and know that you at least want to walk in a straight line, right? Like you may not even know the end of the block, right? Like you don't even know the end game, but if you walk in a straight line, it don't matter how fast you walk, you're moving forward.
Now, I do have a question just to kind of put in perspective for people who are listening to this now. What age did you actually start this whole process? Like you bought your first property?
I believe I was maybe 26, 27, okay. Maybe. Yeah. So, probably, 26, 20. Yeah. I'm going to say 26, 27, somewhere around there.
So it still took you some time to get to where you are today though.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But I walked at my own pace too. So I absolutely know people who probably were able to acquire what I was able to acquire in 4 or 5 years. So my mentee that owns the 500 units, he did that he did that in half the time.
Wow.
I mean, that 5 units, that 500 units, he probably did maybe 6 years probably. Now it's fractional ownership, it's syndication. He doesn't have full, but he is the controlling interest in all these properties. And he's in an apartment game or whatever. So people can move at their own pace for sure. But his situation was that, right? Like he didn't have kids and he's in the medical field to where, he would work for 2 or 3 days and have 4 or 5 days off. So, there were some different things that he had going on, which is fine. Right. Like so for us, I'm in that, older millennial world, right? Where I'm not quite a millennial. I'm on that older end of it. Yeah. And so, I've had mental roadblocks that I have to take. I find that the youth of today is a lot more aggressive than I am, a lot more taking chance. I have mental roadblocks that I had to get beyond, right? And that took time. So your journey is your journey, but you got to have a strat plan.
Yeah.
You got to have a strat plan.
So before we get to the last 4 questions, is there anything that you want to leave the listeners here today?
Take action.
That's it.
Take action.
Nice.
But be strategic. Take strategic action. Let me clarify that. Take strategic action. Take the time, all the time that you're spending listening to these podcasts, going out here on Google, right? Because anybody's on there, they Google and they up in the middle of the night finding the new hustles or whatever. Focus. Right? Like focus, so find some focus, right? Find a strategy, come up with SMART goals. You learn SMART goals. Do the SMART goal thing or whatever for yourself. Right. So these are like the simple things, right? But we do the SMART goals for ourselves. We do the strat plans for ourselves. We have, we do twice a year, family financial check-in strategy sessions or whatever. And then we go and then we take action.
Nice. All right. Well, final 4 questions. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. What does wealth mean to you?
Freedom.
All right. What is your favorite financial book or non-financial book?
I love like I said, I mentioned earlier, I love the Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki. Second book, not the first one.
All right. What did you learn from your worst job?
My worst job?
Yep.
Learning how to navigate people and communicate with people that may not necessarily have a natural communication style with me. So just learning how to be flexible with people.
Nice. And what is your best dish to cook?
Oh, I am a cook now. I will cook. I can do a whole range of I don't know where you guys at, so I might go a little off. I cook a lot of stuff, so I don't have a best. But man, we will boil some crawfish and some. I'm down in Houston, man, so we do some mean. I do some mean crawfish and shrimp boils, and we put our sausage in there. We put our turkey necks in there. Like we get mean with it.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Nice.
That's for the people who don't know the South, the Gulf Coast like that. So
yeah, I can't have any of it. The shellfish stuff. So.
Oh, the shellfish. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I got mean Tex-Mex too, though. I'm good
Okay.
on a Tex-Mex game is solid.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. So where can people find you on the internet?
They can find me at onaje10k.com. So I love my 10K card. So I don't have to tell you 10 million places to find me. Just find me at Onaje. That's ONAJE 10k.com. It's got links to all my social media accounts. So if you're in LinkedIn or Clubhouse or Instagram, you can get there. If you are interested in anything I had to say today and maybe are interested in some one-on-one coaching around real estate, you can hit me up there. It links to my calendars and all that good stuff. I've got some classes coming up, so we'll do periodic classes or whatever. But I'm just really here to promote generational wealth. Also, you can find us at ourhistorytold.com. That is my wife's website for her book on Black Wall Street, the spirit of the community. We didn't talk about that today, but that's maybe for another day. Or maybe we can get her on the podcast. She's a wealth of knowledge as far as that goes. And that's lead to the street. It's a children's book on Black Wall Street. And so I think it's quite inspirational for the youth. So if you got anybody out there got kids, good book to check out. $15. So,
yeah, all my listeners have kids. So.
Yeah. So it's a great book to have a conversation with your children about financial literacy.
Perfect. Then yeah, we definitely got to link up after this, and when your wife returns, we can set up something.
Yeah, I'll hit you up, man. Yeah, she'll have a different perspective than me.
I'm sure she does. Yeah, wife always
does.
Yeah,
they always do, right?
Yeah, can always catch you when you said something that you thought you didn't say.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, he said what?
Right. We tell. All right.
Oh, man.
All right, Onaje. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. Again, everybody, my name is Anthony, and this is the About That Wallet podcast. Y'all stay safe. I'm out.